My name is Wes, and my pronouns are he, him, and I'm a therapist in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. This is going to be a documentary-style video series about the perfectly imperfect state of my life right now and my journey to recovery. I guess it's really easier to think of this project as a short-term vlog. I'm going to explain why I'm doing this as a video that I'm sharing with the world, and that's going to take a bit. The really quick answer, or what content creators call the hook, is that despite being a successful mental health professional who appears to have his shit together, my life has been spinning out of control for a while now, and I need to take some serious steps to helping myself. To understand why I'm here, you have to know some things about me. Some of you already do because we're friends and have some shared history. Some people have no idea who I am because in the vast space of the internet, I'm nobody. Like I said, I'm a therapist. To some degree, that means I'm a professional secret keeper. I hear stories and confessions every day. Sitting in my office in an oversized blue suede chair that projects a very false sense of authority, some of the tales I hear are quite ordinary. They reflect a huge part of the human condition these days. People get depressed. They want to change jobs. They don't always like their kids. Not everything is that commonplace, though. I sometimes have to rely on years of training and experience not to react to seemingly startling revelations of adultery, drug use, embezzlement, plans of ending marriages, sexual offending, and yes, even murder. These are the secrets I keep. And these are the challenges I help people navigate so they can live healthier and happier lives. Foreshadowing for later, compartmentalization that makes me good at my job makes me not so great at sharing my life. Of course, I, like all of you, am more than my work. I'm a gay man in the South, fast approaching 50, which according to one online quiz I took last night, based on all the shit in my life over the years and the realities of queerness in this country, is the equivalent of 127 in straight years. I had a fundagelical upbringing. Not my word, but a nifty portmanteau of fundamentalism and evangelicalism. And let me tell you, that was a great way for a queer kid in Arkansas to grow up in the 80s and 90s. I'm still what my reverend calls a spiritual refugee, or someone for whom the church has become boring, irrelevant, exclusive, or even painful. Surely related to my gayness, but also just the harsh reality of my neurobiology. I'm started battling depression in my late teenage years. As I got older, some anxiety, anorexia, bulimia, binge eating disorder, substance abuse, and all kinds of major self-abuse got thrown into the mix. My own lifetime of mental unhealth, bad behaviors, and self-sabotage. Despite knowing all that I know about the human condition and psychological soundness, I am still a major work in progress. The impetus for me even acknowledging that I needed help was my boyfriend moving out this month. I won't tell his story. His story is not mine to tell, and I'm respecting his privacy as he works through the things he is working through. I'm telling my story and my details. We did talk about this project, and he gave me permission to share some details if they're relevant to what I'm working on, but really, I need to make my recovery about me and not about him. He's welcome to tell his story. Hell, he's welcome to come here and we can tell our story. But right now, all you get is me. And for those of you who do know him and are connected to him in some way, I ask that you please give him some grace. I promise he deserves it. So, our story. We met in November of 2021 on Match.com. It really was a fluke. We both logged in on the same day to delete our profiles out of frustration with gay dating. And on the last day our profiles were active, before we'd get charged another quarter of what seemed like useless subscription fees, we matched. We spent a few weeks exchanging messages and phone calls before going on our first date. That first date was magical. As soon as I opened my front door and saw him walk through, I felt the spark. Like something you see in a movie. We hugged, and it took my breath away. Like, felt like my heart stopped beating for a minute. It was, wow. Best first date ever. And a great few weeks of dating and long talks and calls and hanging out. But it was a rough beginning with multiple breakups and reconciliations because we were both too scared to give up too much of our individuality and be our 100% genuine selves. We kept talking and spending time together. We kept getting to know each other. We kept opening ourselves up. And then it just started to come together in this beautiful, almost effortless way. Things improved. We were on this high. It looked great. And we moved in together too soon. The timing was based on his lease ending after I had just renewed mine. We tried to see it as an opportunity when really we should have been more realistic. Even though we spent every night together between two homes, neither one of us was ready to give up that level of independence. But damn it, we were throwing out what other people thought and writing our own rule book. So he moved into a house he didn't like and a house I really didn't want to keep anyway. Not a great decision. After a few months, we moved into our current home, a space we spent a lot of time setting up to reflect us and to be a safe space away from the craziness of the larger world. That was important because of the work we both do. But even in this house that seemed perfect in so many ways, there were struggles. My depression, which went untreated and I felt was manageable because I am, after all, an expert, worsened over time. This is overlaid with the worsening of what he's addressing right now. Both things activated each other. We had great days, we had shitty days. I won't go into all the things that we did to hurt each other, but we all know that hurt people hurt people. And even with some amazing days where our world seemed full of promise, we were both hurting and still hurting each other. He finally had the courage to say that we need space apart to stop hurting each other, to work on ourselves, and to see if this relationship is good for us. We both know this relationship is salvageable, but is that healthy for us? At first, he didn't see a path forward, but the more we talked every day as he prepared to move out, the more he saw a way forward if, and only if, we address our individual issues first. So he moved out. I'm staying in what was our home, at least for now. Not sure I feel about that, but the house is great and something we both dreamed of. He's not sure he can come back to it for lots of reasons. And even though I know we need space apart, it's harder than I imagined after settling into a life together, even if it wasn't the life we both set out to have as a couple. Turns out it's harder than we both thought it would be. So the recovery begins. We have plans. I have my plan. He has his plan. We have our plan. We talk every day for check-ins and to improve communication. We have binders with lots of worksheets and handouts specific to our situation and the things we need to discuss. I couldn't find a self-help book that covered everything we needed, and truthfully, I'm not wild about most of the self-help books out there because they have to be so general to be marketable, and I think most people need something a little more specific. Don't get me wrong, there's really good stuff out there, and I have recommended it to many clients, but I couldn't find what we needed right now, and neither of us wants to do couples therapy right now, so I put my therapist brain to use and made a self-help book for us. Right now, we're living apart. We have no idea what this looks like. We see each other as much as is comfortable while respecting each other's need for space to heal. Separations are hard, very hard. But we're not calling it a separation because we aren't trying to stay away from each other and we aren't dating other people. What is clear to both of us in this moment is that we share a deep love on many levels. Emotional, physical, intellectual, social, sexual. The connection is there. It's just not as healthy as it needs to be for a solid relationship. I'm more optimistic about the prospects of reconciliation. We both say it's the goal. We both say it's what we want. We both say we're working on ourselves in part so that we can be healthy enough to continue our life together. And that's a lot. It's a huge undertaking. Each day, I'll be sharing what I'm working on that day. Maybe it's journaling or something I read or an activity or a self-care ritual or a worksheet or a book I'm reading. Maybe it's just vulnerably sharing what I'm thinking and feeling in the ways I'm having to challenge myself. I'll be sharing what I'm doing and showing how it's working or maybe how it's not working. Openly, vulnerably, and unapologetically. Throughout this process, I've basically isolated myself from the people I was closest to for the past few years. It wasn't the kind of thing that often happens in any relationship where you're so enmeshed with each other you forget there's a world out there. It was my depression overlaid with my instinctual ability to withhold anything beyond the superficial, overlaid with insecurities for lots of reasons. I've lost a lot in the past 2 years. And now I have to invest some time understanding why I let this happen, what I need to address within myself, and how I can carry that forward with all my relationships, including the man I still intend to marry. Not many people know about our situation yet. I'm guessing that's about to change. The few people who do know have been far more supportive than I feel I deserve. I have so much gratitude for these people. And so much of my desire to fix my shit is because these people still see the best in me even when I can't. It's a gift. If you made it this far, you're probably asking yourself why the actual fuck a mental health professional is going to put his struggles on full display. Fair question. YouTube is full of channels where people share their journeys. And there are lots of channels with mental health professionals offering sound advice. And yes, there are a lot of mental health professionals out there who share their own experiences and how it shapes their professionalism. I think that's amazing. I think it's brave. And I think it's scary as fuck. I compartmentalize as a default. So the notion of openly sharing anything private is a huge struggle for me. I am not the kind of person who shares my emotions easily or puts my life on display. But that's also a big part of how I got to this place with my relationship. So this thing right here is a huge and scary prospect for me because, shocker, therapists aren't perfect. We have struggles too. Destigmatizing mental unhealth is much needed. Destigmatizing the therapy process is much needed. We don't have magic cures for all the psychological ails. We have treatment plans, we have lots of tools, and we do lots of hella hard work. But our own lives are so far from perfect. People don't get to see that because we learn early in our training and our supervised work that we need to maintain this air of detachment. When we do share things, our colleagues are quick to point out that it does not cast us in the best light, or it might hurt our professional standing in some way. I've had that happen with some things I've posted before. The healthcare profession as a whole has stupidly bought into this notion that we have to maintain this air of superiority and never show any real vulnerability. Why? Just why? Why shouldn't I get to be just as real as the other people taking up space on this planet? When did I decide to give up my space just in case a current or former client sees me looking less than perfect? I promise, if you see me in the Costco on a random Saturday morning after just rolling out of bed, not wanting to get cleaned up and trying to beat the crowds, you will see just one of the ways I can be perfectly imperfect in a shared space. So this thing right here is gonna be a doozy. I can't worry about current or future clients seeing me as human because I am human and I struggle too, damn it. And I should get to share my struggles and reach out just like anybody else. For sure, I of all people believe in the value of professional help, and I promise I am using it as I need it. But I need the support of my people too. So if you want to follow along and give me some support, that's great. If you want to follow along voyeuristically, that's great too. I'm sure some of this is going to be a little bit entertaining. There aren't a lot of examples of how to do this, or at least not the specific version of this that I'm trying to do. I have a couple of friends who live their lives with much more public and professional scrutiny than me, and they've been open about some of their struggles. My musician friend Angie is very candid about dealing with depression, anxiety, and most recently, some pretty profound grief. She's a bi-coastal performer of amazing talent who also now performs internationally. Sharing her story with what she calls her squad, it's really helping her have that level of support. My internet celebrity friend Steve, he has been through hell and back. As somebody who's specialized in trauma work for years, I can say that his story is quite something. And he shared it on his own YouTube channel when his life went sideways. And he shared it on a therapist channel. And because of who he is, there was a lot of pushback. He held his head high to focus on living his best life. And he's happier now than I've seen him in years. All people are allowed to take up space. All people are allowed to ask for help. All people are allowed to share their story. Me too. I hope that sharing my journey helps in a couple of ways. First, I want to be accountable for making daily progress. Probably more than any other person I know, I can find reasons to get around self-care. Long hours, hard work with heavy emotional tolls, laundry and dishes piling up. I'm an expert, so I don't need anything or anybody. Books on the coffee table. My Netflix watch list is about 84 years long right now. And on and on and on. Committing to daily intervention and being accountable to it is my own litmus test of my ability to get better. And if I have to post every day, I'm more likely to do the work every day. Second, I want to share this process for people who might be going through something similar and have no idea where to begin or what a recovery can look like. If you've never been through this before, you have no idea how to do it. Third, I want to show that all treatment does not look the same. You don't have to lock yourself into cognitive behavioral therapy or solution-focused brief therapy or EMDR or whatever is the TikTok therapy craze of the week. You can use any tools that help you move forward. My approach is going to pull from a lot of modalities because that's how I work anyway. I'll spare you the psychobabble about all that as I go, but just know that I'm doing my own recovery in a very, very non-traditional way. Lastly, too much of social media is too curated for perfection. My life is messy. It's complicated. I am working through some hard shit. And we need to start having real conversations about these things so more people understand they are not alone in their struggles. Is this going to benefit me in some way? Well, actually, I think this has the potential to be more harmful than helpful. When you pull back the curtains and people can see how imperfect therapists are and how we have struggles, they might assume I am incapable of helping them because I've got my own issues. That's fine. I respect that. You do you and get what you need. I can tell you for sure, he is not going to be moved by this. He is a very private person. I doubt he will even see a single one of these videos. That's fine. I respect that too, because this is for me, not for him. This is not about growing my business. My business is doing just fine. You won't see links to my website on these videos. There are no affiliate links or paid endorsements or any of that. I won't be adding a subscribe graphic in the corner and reminding you every time to click on the link to stay informed. Not to say there's anything wrong with that, but this specific project is about chronicling my recovery, not marketing my business. Yes, this video exploration is hosted by a professional accountant. To be honest, we created this account 3 or 4 years ago thinking we'd share educational videos like the amazing Katie Morton, a therapist in California who is fucking brilliant, and I love the way she explains things. Or interesting conversational videos like Dr. Maya Bialik, one of my crushes. That woman's brain. Whew. But that hasn't happened yet. Maybe it will. Maybe this process right here and this accountability will be the thing that gets me to invest the time and energy into other videos that I've always wanted to do. I didn't want to create a separate account to tell the story because I'm not ashamed to have it under my professional banner. If somebody sees these videos and can't understand why I would be willing to model open and honest struggles under my professional logo, I'm not the therapist for them, and I am more than okay with that. I'm not sure of a lot right now. I'm not sure anybody's going to watch any of these, except maybe a few close friends who want to be supportive. I'm very sure every colleague I have is going to be appalled by this and tell me all the ways I am ruining my personal and professional life. I'm sure my family will be mortified. That's okay, but I do not respect that. This is my journey, this is my story, and I get to tell it. You need to know from the get-go, this is not going to be some theatrical quality Ken Burns style documentary. You can find those on Netflix and Hulu. I am not a video production professional. I did not go to school all those years to learn how to make YouTube videos. This is not my area of expertise. So please don't expect perfect production values. I'm focused on telling my story. I'm focused on content more than delivery. I'm going to be really nervous doing this. I'm probably going to screw up a lot. And if you know anything at all about me, you know that making mistakes publicly is terrifying to me. But I'm doing it anyway, taking a chance. I'll be posting something every day of this journey, even the hard days. I don't know how many days that is. In my mind, I'm starting with 30 days because a lot of recovery programs that are intensive are for about that same amount of time. So, this is where I'm at. Trying to embrace being perfectly imperfect. I'll be back tomorrow.